The more you let go, the more comes back to you. It sounds like a trick, doesn't it? Like something you'd see printed on a fortune cookie and then forget 5 minutes later. We've been told since childhood that if you want something, you have to fight for it, chase it, lock it down, hold it so tightly it can't slip away. That's the story we live by. Yet nature, patient, ancient, utterly unbothered by our human urgency, whispers a different truth. The tighter you grip, the more you lose. Imagine standing at the edge of a quiet river at sunrise. The water moves effortlessly, winding past rocks, drifting around bends, always finding its way to the sea without a single push. There is no straining, no shouting, no hurry up. Just the current, doing what it has always done. Or think about the trees in autumn. They don't cling desperately to their leaves, trying to keep their beauty a little longer. They let them go, one by one, in a slow, golden rain, because they know winter is coming, and that the bare branches are not a failure, but a preparation. Waves roll into shore and then pull away. Birds migrate and return. Clouds drift in and dissolve into blue sky. Nothing in nature forces, yet everything in nature arrives exactly where it needs to be. And here's the paradox. The moment you stop forcing life, life has room to move toward you. The moment you loosen your grip, your hands are open to receive. But we live in a culture that teaches the opposite. Hold on. Control everything. Make a 5-year plan. Get the outcome you want, exactly when you want it. And when it doesn't happen, panic, force harder, sleep less, work more. We treat life like a stubborn door we can batter open with enough effort, forgetting that some doors only open when you stop pushing. So the question is, what happens when we stop gripping so tightly? When we allow the river to carry us instead of thrashing against the current? What do we discover when we let go of the illusion that control is the only way forward? This is where Alan Watts invites us, into a strange, counterintuitive territory where the most powerful thing you can do is not force anything at all. For one, a farmer once asked his new helper to spend the day sorting potatoes into 3 piles, small, medium, and large. Simple enough, right? No heavy lifting, no running back and forth, no complicated instructions. Just sort. But by the end of the day, the helper was exhausted. Not from the work itself, but from the endless stream of tiny decisions. Each potato required just enough thought to be tiring. Is this small or medium? What if it's borderline? Does it even matter? After hours of this, the man quit. He could shovel dirt, haul hay, or mend fences for 12 hours straight. But sorting potatoes, that was too much. The farmer laughed, not because he was cruel, but because he understood something the helper didn't. Sometimes it's not the big challenges that wear us down. It's the endless trying to control every little thing. We do this in life all the time. We micromanage our schedules, our relationships, even our emotions. We obsess over whether that text sounded right, whether the meeting went perfectly, whether we've made the optimal choice for lunch. We hold a death grip on outcomes that are, in truth, way beyond our control. And it drains us. I knew a woman named Claire who spent years trying to fix her life by adjusting every detail. She had color-coded planners, a perfectly curated Instagram, and a morning routine that could have been a TED Talk. But she was perpetually tired, snapping at friends for being late by 2 minutes, panicking when things didn't go according to plan. Her life looked polished from the outside, but on the inside, it felt like sorting potatoes all day. One afternoon, her power went out for several hours. No Wi-Fi, no to-do list, no ability to stay productive. At first, she paced the apartment like a caged animal. Then, slowly, something shifted. She sat by the window, watched the rain, and, for the first time in months, felt her jaw unclench. She realized nothing terrible happened when she wasn't in control. In fact, she felt lighter. Life is rarely about perfect control. It's about rhythm. And rhythm needs space. If the farmer had told the helper, "Just toss the potatoes in a bucket and we'll figure it out later," the man might have worked happily until sunset. Sometimes the most productive thing we can do is stop trying to get it all right, and instead let things pile up, trusting we'll know what to do with them when the moment comes. The potato story isn't really about potatoes. It's about the human tendency to burn ourselves out by gripping too tightly to the wheel, even when the road is taking care of itself. We think control equals safety, but in reality, over-controlling is like standing in a river with your hands clamped around a rock, refusing to move because you're afraid of where the current might take you. You might feel secure for a while, but eventually, the water wears you down. Your muscles ache, your grip weakens, and all you've done is exhaust yourself without going anywhere. Nature has been whispering the opposite lesson for as long as it's existed. A river doesn't argue with the terrain. It doesn't insist on a straight path or demand a specific arrival time. It weaves around obstacles, flowing with gravity, trusting that every twist and turn still carries it to the sea. Alan Watts often reminded us, nature itself pries your fingers open and shows you the illusion of control. That's not a punishment. It's an invitation. Life is trying to get you to dance, and here you are, glued to your seat, insisting on conducting the orchestra instead. Think about how many of our greatest stresses come from insisting on our own timeline. You wanted to be married by 30. You wanted the promotion last year. You wanted your project to be perfect before it ever saw the light of day. When those things didn't happen exactly as planned, your instinct was to push harder, to control more variables. But here's the paradox. The more you force life to match your expectations, the more you cut yourself off from possibilities you didn't even know existed. It's like trying to trap a butterfly under a glass. Sure, you can catch it, but the moment you do, it stops flying. You've preserved it, but you've also killed what made it beautiful. The truth is, life doesn't need your micromanagement. It needs your participation, the kind where you move with what's unfolding instead of resisting it. The kind where you make space for the unexpected, the serendipity, the detours, the people and opportunities you never could have planned for. So what if you loosen your grip? What if, instead of obsessing over every potato that comes your way, you just let them fall where they may for a while? You might discover that the river was always carrying you forward, and that your job was never to push it, but to trust it. Life, at some point, puts you at a crossroads. Two paths stretch before you, and though they may look similar at the start, they lead to wildly different places. Path 1. Control. This is the road most of us are taught to take. It's lined with calendars, checklists, deadlines, and a subtle but constant hum of anxiety. On this path, you measure your worth by how well you can bend reality to your will. You double-check every email. You rehearse conversations in your head before they happen. You try to predict every possible outcome, so you're ready, but you're never actually ready because the one thing you can't control is life itself. Walk far enough down this path, and you find burnout waiting for you like an old acquaintance. Your shoulders stay tense even when you're supposed to be relaxing. Sleep becomes shallow. Relationships turn brittle because people can feel when you're not really with them. You're in your head, managing invisible levers. Control isolates you because it's built on the idea that you can't trust anyone else to get it right. Path 2. Trust. At first, this path feels riskier. It's not about being careless. It's about being cooperative. You stop trying to dominate every moment and start letting life be a partner instead of an enemy to outwit. You share the load. You allow people to help you, not as a sign of weakness, but as recognition that a forest grows best when every tree shares sunlight, water, and space. On the trust path, something unexpected happens. You start to feel supported, even when you can't see exactly how things will work out. And often help comes from directions you never imagined. A conversation with a stranger, a sudden flash of insight, a coincidence so perfect it feels like the universe itself stepped in. Alan Watts compared this to moving from a monarchy to a democracy. In the monarchy of control, you sit on the throne, issuing orders, trying to keep the kingdom exactly as you want it. But you live in fear of rebellion, because nothing thrives when it's ruled by fear. In the democracy of trust, power is shared between you, others, and the flow of life itself. And as in nature, shared power nourishes all things without dominating anything. The fork in the road is always here, every day, in every choice. Do you tighten your grip, or do you open your hands? There's a moment in every conversation, every plan, every dream, where someone asks the question we all fear. So, what's going to happen? And the most honest, most powerful answer you can give is, I don't know. But that's not how we're taught to live. From the time we're kids, I don't know is treated like a failure, an admission that you're unprepared, that you haven't done your homework, that you're not in control. We're rewarded for quick answers, strong opinions, confident predictions. Yet, Alan Watts suggested something radical. I don't know is not weakness, it's freedom. Think of a flashlight. It can light up the room around it, but it can never shine directly on itself. Think of a blade. It can cut through almost anything, except itself. There are limits to what a thing can know about itself, and there are limits to what we can know about life while we're in the middle of living it. When you cling to certainty, you shrink your world down to only what you can predict. But when you allow yourself to not know, you step into a space where anything can happen, where the unexpected isn't a threat, but an invitation. Watts would often say, what I really want is tied to what you want. And what you want? I don't know. Surprise me. That's not passive. It's an act of deep trust. It's saying I'm willing to be changed by what I don't expect. The I don't know principle doesn't mean you stop making plans or caring about outcomes. It means you leave room for life to bring you something better than you could have invented on your own. It means accepting that not every door needs to be forced open. Some doors open toward you when you step back. Picture a jazz musician mid-performance. They don't know exactly what note they'll play next, but they trust the music, the rhythm, the other players. The magic comes from what can't be scripted. When you stop fearing "I don't know," you turn uncertainty into a creative partner. Suddenly, the road ahead isn't something to control. It's something to explore. And maybe, just maybe, the best things in life are the ones you never saw coming. So here we are, back where we began, with the strange, impossible-sounding paradox. The more you let go, the more comes back to you. By now, it's not just a poetic idea. It's a truth you've seen woven through rivers, trees, waves, and even the smallest details of daily life. Nature doesn't cling, and yet it doesn't lose. It flows, and in flowing, it receives. Letting go is not the same as losing. It's making room. It's clearing a field so something new can grow. It's trusting that if you drop the leaves in autumn, the spring will bring blossoms you could never have forced into being. Decay, endings, impermanence, these aren't enemies. They're allies. The leaf must fall for the bud to grow. The tide must go out for it to return. And every time something in your life dissolves, it is simply making space for the next chapter to arrive. When you understand this, you stop demanding guarantees. You stop clinging to outcomes as if they were the only things keeping you afloat. You begin to live inside the rhythm instead of fighting against it. And in that rhythm, there's a quiet power, the kind that doesn't come from force, but from alignment. Alan Watts reminded us that the river existed long before we dipped our hands into it, and it will keep flowing long after we've gone. Your job was never to dam it, reroute it, or push it faster. Your job is to learn its currents, to ride them with trust, and to let them take you where they've been headed all along. So, let the river carry you. Trust the tide. What is yours will arrive in its own season, and when it does, you will be ready, not because you forced it, but because you've learned the art that holds all others, how to open your hands. And in opening your hands, you discover something else. You were never empty. You were always part of the flow.